Hello, this is Wendy Prey, and this is a short video on my sketchnoting that represents my reading autobiography. To the left, you see my idealistic version of a home. My house never looked like this, but this is what I always envisioned it to be, and this is where my reading journey starts. During the early years, or when I was in elementary, I was driven by Pizza Hut's Book It reading club. And what it was is what I can relate it to AR, where you read a certain number of books or a certain number of words. I don't recall. But at every milestone that you reached or every benchmark that you reached, you would receive a voucher for a personal pan pizza. And that was very, very cool for me personally because eating out wasn't a part of my young life. It wasn't something that we did all the time. So I was very happy to get rewarded by what I read. If you see the middle part of my graphic, you'll see where it says Arabian Nights. Now, I know that's an adult piece of text or literature, but it was something that my mom used to read to us when we were young, and she didn't read the adult version, she read the G-rated version, which is why I put that here. She had bought a collection of stories in Spanish, that is my first language, and so she used to she used to read to us right before we went to bed one story. And I remember that being a special time for me when I was young, and becoming really becoming connected with the fact that my mom would read to us and that she would think that that's important. Along with my early years, I added this graphic here. This was my first encounter with nonfiction books. It was from a company called A Just Ask Book, or a series of books that were titled A Just Ask Book. And every single book was titled, what is a river? What is a volcano? What is a butterfly? There were others that were titled, why does it float? What is day and night? What is a rainbow? And so I became riveted by learning all these things, and they were all science-based. So this was my first encounter with nonfiction, and it really sparked a fire to learn things and have me be gravitated a little bit more toward nonfiction, as you will see some trends here in my graphic. On the far right hand side, you have Judy Blume's Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. I was raised in a very, I would say, sheltered now in retrospect, or just very conservative home where we just didn't talk about certain things, or certain things were taboo, or I guess my mom just expected for me to learn about them through school or through reading. And so I remember becoming a lady and, having feelings of just confusion, what is going on. And if it wasn't for literature, because that's basically how I learned what was happening, it was through nonfiction text. And then it was also, I remember strongly relating to Margaret during that part of the Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret book. If you look at the bottom left hand side, you see the Holy Bible. That Bible The Bible is something that I've read since I was a little girl, even as early as the Pizza Hut Book It days. Everything from the Old Testament became very, very exciting for me to read because it's all very awesome narratives, very engaging stories. I read kid versions of it, and then as I grew up, or as I became a teenager, I took to analyzing the stories, and I took to analyzing the Bible as a whole and how it was composed or put together as a piece of literature. So I became very interested in how it was actually a history book, and how it was told in two different perspectives, and just the unfolding of all the events in the Bible in a historical sense and in a theological sense became something that I was really interested in up until my late teens, which is why I put it here. If you look to the right hand side, when I was a ninth grader, my teacher recommended me for GT English, and Wuthering Heights was one of the novels that I could barely get through because of the language, and I remember it being a huge barrier for me. But I also remember wanting to know about the love story between Catherine and Heathcliff, And I remember being riveted by it as well, how violent and passionate it was at the same time. And so I kind of, for a long time, I had a love-hate relationship with Wuthering Heights, but now I really, really like it. It's such a great story. So I enjoyed it. During my teen years, it was also a time where I first brushed with historical fiction. This is The Island of the Blue Dolphins. And although I felt detached because it was a story about a Native American girl, I was just kind of like, I liked the fact that Scott Odell, in retrospect again, I liked how he could manipulate um, history and twist it into a new story. I later felt the same way when I read Streams to the River, River to the Sea, also by Scott Odell, about Sacagawea, and how, you know, she was internalizing and expressing herself based on everything that was happening to her leading up to the Lewis and Clark expedition. So this is where I got my first taste of historical fiction, and it continued because uh, I found myself gravitated to those books, and so it quickly became my favorite genre. Here's another story that I read as an adult, The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. I read it as a teacher, and I used it to support eighth grade curriculum, eighth grade history curriculum. Here in the middle, this is where in college, I had a Spanish minor. This is Los de Abajo, which is also historical fiction about the Mexican Revolution. There's a picture of Dorian Gray, which I thought was very creepy towards the end, but really, really enjoyed it. I also studied Caribbean literature. I took a Caribbean literature course for my undergraduate degree, and this is in the time of the butterflies, but I wrote it in Spanish. And these are the three Mirabal sisters here. Also, when I was a teacher, I read The Outsiders, which is very strange. A lot of people usually read that when they're in grade school or in high school, but or in middle school, I'm sorry. But I read it as a middle school teacher. And so, having seen the movie many times, I found the book very emotional, and it actually made me cry. It was awesome. I remember vividly how I felt the first time I read The Outsiders, and it was a great book. Also in high school, I was fixated with the story of the Titanic. I know that's weird, but it was also nonfiction. I liked learning about all the facts, about all the people, about the sequence of events, about the science behind how the ship sank the way it did, etc. And then I later found myself checking the facts when James Cameron's Titanic came out in 1997. And so that was my first brush with film analysis and or contradicting, or not contradicting, but comparing and contrasting, entertainment or something that's created for entertainment with actual facts, about a certain event. On the left here, you have Daring Young Man on a Flying Trapeze by William Saroyan. I read this as an adult in college as well with a short story and novella class I was taking. And I really, really liked this story because it made a big impact on me and made me question how much I valued the written word. Here's this man, facing life or death because it's so cold. He could easily burn books and keep warm and survive, but he chooses not to. And so that made me think about the conviction that people have, or what conviction I have when it comes to things that I write or things I read, and how important words are. And this at the very bottom here is what my reading trends are like now as an adult. It's a lot of nonfiction, a lot of informational, self-help. I'm always reading about, my health, reading about theory. The news is kind of small. I don't like reading the news, although I should read it more often, but it's not really something I enjoy reading because I feel like I read negative things all the time. But this is in short my reading journey. I like to bring characters from history to life. So this is something that I use to bridge fiction and nonfiction with my students. I am now a librarian at a middle school. So I get to employ everything that I learned while I was a teacher in middle school and everything that I read in middle school. And in addition to that, I get to expose myself or read books that are fitting to them now with all these new trends and new authors out there. These three clocks symbolize or represent the fact that I always feel like I need to finish reading things in a hurry. Unfortunately, I don't feel like whenever I read something, I read it for pleasure. Hopefully that will change. I always read for completion. I always read for to say that I read something or I completely read something. But hopefully, I will feel like I have the time to just read something for enjoyment at my own pace without needing to complete it by a certain time or needing to have a final event or a culminating event that comes from that book. So that's also part of my journey. So I hope you enjoyed just my little quick timeline on what reading has been like for me.